Bean had always prided himself on keeping Bean's Brew open until the last possible minute. The little coffee shop on the corner of Main and Maple in Liberty Hollow was more than a business. It was his heartbeat. On that chilly winter Friday evening, the last of the customers had left, and the cafe was finally empty, chairs stacked, and the espresso machine hissing its final sigh. Bean wiped down the counter one last time, but something felt off. His skin was hot, his head thick with fog, like he'd been standing too close to the steamer all day. When he caught his reflection in the darkened pastry case glass, he saw 2 angry red blisters blooming on his left cheek and forehead.
Probably just a stress rash. I've been working too hard. Time to get home and get some sleep.
After finishing up, he locked the door behind him. By the time he got home, the fever had climbed to 102. He popped a couple of ibuprofen and wished his wife Mara good night. He figured he'd better sleep in the guest room, just in case. The last thing he wanted was to spread whatever this might be to his family. Saturday morning started with the world tilting. Bean swung his legs over the side of the bed and stood. Only his legs didn't hold. They buckled like wet cardboard. He reached for the nightstand, missed, and went down with a sickening thud on the hardwood floor. The impact knocked the breath out of him, but the real shock was the silence from his lower body. He couldn't feel the cold floor under his thighs. He couldn't move his feet.
Mara, can you come here, please? I need help.
His voice cracked, half panic, half disbelief. Mara was there in seconds, robe half on, eyes wide. Together, they tried to get him upright, but his legs simply hung limp, useless. After the third failed attempt, Mara dialed 911 with steady fingers, while Bean sat propped against the bed, staring at his motionless toes like they belonged to someone else. The ambulance ride was a blur of lights and questions. At Liberty Hollow General, the ER team moved fast. Blood draws, IVs, questions about recent travel, headaches, rashes. The blisters had multiplied overnight. Bean overheard a nurse whisper, Guillain-Barré syndrome? Then, adult chickenpox? As they wheeled him to MRI. Hours dragged on. Doctors came and went, frowning at scans. One neurologist kept asking if he'd ever had chickenpox as a child. Bean, flat on his back and tethered to monitors, could only shake his head no. Late that afternoon, the attending physician, a calm woman named Dr. Harper, returned with the spine specialist.
Mr. Barrett, we've confirmed varicella zoster virus in your spinal fluid. You have something called varicella myelitis, inflammation of the spinal cord caused by the chickenpox virus. It's extremely rare in adults, less than 1 in a million, especially with this degree of paralysis.
Chickenpox? I'm 38. I never had it as a kid, and I was born before the vaccine came out. Will I ever walk again?
That explains the severity. This is your primary infection, not a reactivation. The virus flared aggressively. The good news is we caught it early. We're starting high-dose antivirals and steroids immediately. Most individuals with proper treatment respond well.
Paralysis from the waist down. Quarantine until no longer contagious. Breathing tests because the inflammation had crept high enough to threaten respiratory muscles. Bean listened, numb, as they explained he'd be in isolation for the next few days. The first 48 hours were the darkest. He lay in the negative pressure room, staring at the ceiling tiles, counting them when sleep wouldn't come. Mara could only visit through the glass at first, pressing her palm to the window while he lifted a weak hand in return. Nurses barged in every couple hours, taking vitals and adjusting his position to prevent bed sores. Alone, with only the quiet hum and occasional beeps of the isolation room, dark thoughts crept in. What if the feeling in his legs never came back? What if he'd never chase Lachlan across the backyard again, never kick that soccer ball with him, never carry him on his shoulders? The idea of his little boy growing up with a dad in a wheelchair crushed him harder than any fever.
No, I'm not giving in to that. Lachlan needs his dad strong. Mara needs her husband. And I need to fight like hell for every inch of progress. One day at a time, stay positive and push through. I've built a business from nothing. I can rebuild myself too.
When they finally moved him out of isolation, Mara was allowed in with their 8-year-old son, Lachlan. She brought fresh clothes, along with his favorite worn Liberty Hollow High hoodie. She sat by the bed, holding the hand that still worked perfectly, while Lachlan climbed carefully onto the edge of the bed.
You scared the hell out of me, Bean McAllister.
I scared the hell out of me too. I keep thinking about the cafe. Who's managing the morning rush?
Don't you worry. The whole town's pulling shifts. You focus on getting those legs working again.
Dad, when you come home, will you be able to play soccer again?
Yeah, just as soon as these legs listen to me again, buddy. Promise.
The next couple days drug on, but by day 4, a faint tingle returned to his thighs. By day 6, he could wiggle his toes on command. The physical therapist, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, had him in a wheelchair doing leg strength exercises, promising he'd walk out of there on his own. Each visit from Mara and Lachlan brought progress reports from the cafe, drawings from his son, and quiet encouragement.
You're stronger than this, Bean. You built that business from nothing. You'll build your legs back too.
By the 10th day, he took his first assisted steps between parallel bars, sweat pouring, heart racing, grinning like a fool when his knees didn't buckle. Discharge day came just 2.5 weeks after admission. Dean walked, slowly with a walker, out the front doors of Liberty Hollow General into early morning sunlight. His first breath of fresh air since he arrived. The welcome back at Bean's Brew was pure small-town chaos. Someone had queued up his favorite playlist on the cafe speakers. Balloons tied to the patio chairs, a hand-painted banner made by Zoe, reading, "Welcome back, boss," stretched across the front windows. It seemed half the town was crammed inside. Regulars, local high school kids, even Liberty Hollow's mayor came with a giant coffee mug-shaped cake. Mara stood beside him, arm looped through his, Lachlan bouncing excitedly at his side, both of them misty-eyed. That night, after the crowd thinned and the shop closed early for once, Bean and Mara sat in their living room with a thick stack of hospital paperwork on the coffee table. The total charges topped $315,000. MRI, spinal tap, intensive care, antivirals, blood tests, rehabilitation, the works. Their small business health plan, a silver-level marketplace policy with a $4,500 family deductible, had covered everything after that. The McAllister Emergency Fund covered the deductible without touching their day-to-day accounts. Bean ran a finger down the amount you owe line, $4,212.63.
If we hadn't had insurance, can you even imagine?
Yeah, you got it. We'd be facing potential bankruptcy, or closing the cafe, or both.
He looked out the window toward the faint green glow of the Liberty Hollow water tower against the night sky.
I always thought the emergency fund was the hero of the story. Turns out the real hero was that yearly insurance premium we've grumbled about every January.
Worth every penny.
Mara squeezed his hand. Dean nodded, feeling the strength returning to his legs perched on the coffee table. Some victories screamed out loud. Others arrived quietly, in the form of covered medical bills and the simple ability to stand up and walk to your own coffee shop the next morning. He smiled, small and genuine.
Tomorrow, I'm pouring the first shot of espresso myself.
Lessons learned in Liberty Hollow. A sudden medical crisis can strike anyone, anytime, no matter how healthy you feel. Solid health insurance isn't just an expense, it's protection for everything you've built. A good policy plus an emergency fund can mean the difference between recovery and ruin. Don't wait until you need it to realize how vital it truly is. Join us again soon in Liberty Hollow, and in the meantime, stay healthy out there! Thanks for walking the oak-lined streets of Liberty Hollow with us, where small choices plant the seeds of tomorrow. If this story lit a spark, tap that like button, subscribe for fresh money stories every week, and tell us in the comments, what's one lesson you're taking home from the Hollow tonight? See you at the next bend in the path.